I'm really excited to do this. I've watched a bunch of them, and yeah, I like talking about myself, so yeah. Or just had published an essay on Rookie about leaving my ex-fiance. We were together for almost 7 years. There's this idea in our culture that breakups are the most traumatic, heartbreaking things, especially if you've been together so long, but you never hear about these breakups where it's smooth, it's okay. That was the kind of breakup that I went through. To be able to say, I am gonna do something for myself that is hard, that is really scary, and the fact that I went through with it, just that I was even able to do it, gives me so much confidence in myself and makes me feel like such a strong person.
Can you take off your scarf? Can you talk about assumptions that other people have about you based on your style?
I do wear a lot of dark colors. I think people assume that I'm very sad, and I'm not.
Can you talk about who has been the biggest influence on your life?
And I've started doing performance art, which has been really cathartic and incredible. My most recent piece was an homage to Kate Bush, where I led a group dance to Wuthering Heights. I think it's a way for me to really put my confidence on display and say that I am a person, I have power, I am strong, and I am here, and I am alive, and you are gonna watch me do this thing right in front of you. I have always been very shy and am not used to being a confident person. Being confident is something that only happened a few years ago. When I was 13, I had my first episode with an eating disorder. I just didn't eat. I just stopped eating and let the feelings of worthlessness kind of pile on themselves. And my mom, she was a younger mother. At the same time that I was a teenager and needed to be learning from my mother how to love myself, she was also going through an eating disorder at the time. So I learned how to hate myself. And I didn't have a role model in my life of a confident, strong woman. I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks for my first episode. And then when I was 17, I had terrible depression. The kind of depression that to me, tomorrow was not a given. And I didn't really tell anyone about it because I thought it was really stupid. I used a lot of things to mitigate those feelings, which was mostly sex as a teen. And then when it finally just sort of came to a head when I was 17, and I attempted suicide and was hospitalized for about 2 months. I swallowed a bunch of pills and then drank a bunch of alcohol. My dad was away at the time, and I called him right after I'd done it and told him what I did, and he was really calm about it, I think because he knew he had to be. I don't think being hospitalized at that point was what I needed, because, and I say that because right after I got out the hospital, pretty much immediately, I'm talking a few weeks later, I immediately got into a relationship that ended up being abusive, and I was in that relationship for 3 years. It was hard for my parents to make the connection that I was mentally ill, and that's why I was doing these things. They focused more on the behavior and not sort of the reason behind the behavior. Something called gaslighting. Mm-hmm. And what that is when you have a feeling and your partner manipulates you into thinking that feeling, it's in your imagination, you're crazy, that whatever you think or feel or suspect is not actually true. And so that went on a lot with him cheating on me, ungodly amounts of times. He convinced me that I was controlling in the relationship, that I was a horrible girlfriend for accusing him of these things. And so him being able to do that kept my self-esteem really low. He made sure that I was always fighting with my closest friend. He told me that my parents hated me, and this went on for years, 3 years. Abuse has a way of making you not really understand what's real and what isn't. And that whole time I just remember feeling like I lived in a fog. Like I was completely overcome with this sense of almost depersonalization, where I was going through life, but it wasn't me. It was just like watching a person from a movie. So when I was 22, I decided this cannot continue. So I made a very whimsical decision, and I moved myself to Chicago. I didn't know anyone there. I didn't have any friends there. I'd only been there once. I just knew that I needed to go someplace else and just put physical distance between myself and my abuser. Like, me at 19 never would have imagined that I would have been here in this like body, like feeling good about it and feeling good about my life.
When do you feel the most vulnerable?
Going through so many of the things that I've gone through, like, has left me feeling incredibly vulnerable. And it's when I'm making things and I access that vulnerable feeling that I think is when I can make the best art that I can. I want to be able to pay my rent and like have functional relationships, and like I have no desire to like be a mess in my life anymore. Like, I don't want that. I feel like I'm doing my best creative work now than I ever did when I was feeling miserable.
Slip.
Yeah.
When do you feel the most beautiful?
I feel beautiful all the time. I joke that I'm a babe, and I know I'm a babe, but it's more about like, I feel like I'm just at such a good place in my life that it's not necessarily me that's beautiful, but it's my life as a whole that's really beautiful. Beauty isn't necessarily in my face or on my body, but it's what I'm doing and who I am.
Can you respond to the quote, "In your body is a good place to be"?
I think the body should be treated with reverence and not as a source of shame. I lived with that shame, and I don't want anyone else to ever have to go through that. But I also know at the same time that my story, it's not unique. It happens to so many girls, happens to so many women. I never thought that I would be able to stand here today and say, I'm a babe. But I can do that now, and like I can do it confidently, and I could do it all day long. And it's a real thing. Like, it exists. Like, you can feel good about yourself. And it's my dearest hope that everyone can know what that's like, because it's real. It is.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was incredible. How do you feel now?
I feel great. Kind of vulnerable, but it's okay. I think that's kind of the point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You are a babe.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that.
I feel like everyone should like be required to wake up and say, look in the mirror and say, I'm a babe. Like, it seriously, it does like wonders for the soul.